Welcome to today's episode of the Wedding Day Ceremony. There are different types of ceremonies all over the world. Like you have tea ceremonies in China, 5 days of ceremonies for an Indian wedding, and Christian weddings and church weddings here in the Philippines. But all of them mostly have one important part. Actually, in that part, there's 4 big things that you need to consider. The bridal walk, the vows, the kiss, some of it may be the exit. And so, these things are so much present in most of the weddings that I need to share it with you. If you were to remember, there were 3 shooters, right? The TS, the RS, the CS, and production assistants. And so, these are the advisable setup for them. The role of the TS and the RS is to get good shots, telephoto shots, wherein they can get from a distance or a little closer to you. So it's advisable to have them have 70 to 200 mm on a tripod. The same goes for an RS or reaction shooter. And probably the creative shooter can have a wide lens following the bride somewhere, on a gimbal. Those are one of the strongly suggested gears. So there are important parts of a wedding ceremony. And to guide it along the way, to give more flavor to it, you need to make sure that these 3 things are well set up before it actually starts. So you have audio equipment, positioning for your shooters, and good lighting, of course. Now, the first major part that you need to consider is the bridal walk. I want to illustrate to you how it looks like from a top perspective, top view. Okay, so this is the aisle, and you have your groom waiting at the end of the aisle. Your traditional shooter is positioned along the aisle facing the door. He doesn't have to be in the center of the aisle. He just has to be somewhere along the edge. Okay? And of course, your reaction shooter could be either from the left or the right side of the middle part of the aisle. He could also be somewhere along past the guest. It really depends on your style. You have your bride who's starting from here, from the start of the aisle. And then, of course, the creative shooter is somewhere behind to get the wide shot of everything that's happening from the perspective of the bride or from the back side of the bride. There's so many things going on, but it boils down to where the focus is. Okay, so it's a little bit tricky. Let's start with the TS. We're going to move back and forth just to show which and how things go for each of these shooters. And basically, once the bride starts to walk, look at the TS. The moment the bride gets closer to him or her, he needs to back out somewhere past the position of the groom so that he could still manage to get the shot of the groom and the bride meeting up. Okay? So the moment the bride gets a little close to him or her, he backs out to the other side of the aisle. Okay? Let's look at the reaction shooter. Let's say, for instance, the reaction shooter is somewhere over here on the left side of the aisle facing the church, or could be on the right side of the aisle. The reaction shooter has the potential of getting the reaction of the groom or getting the reaction of the people around him. So it could either be straight towards him, on his left, or on the right. The reaction shooter does not move that much because he wants to make most out of what he could get from his space. He could either have a monopod or a tripod, it's fine. As long as he has the 70-100, he is very powerful. Now, for the creative shooter, he is the one who usually follows the bride from the back. He could either follow the bride straight to the aisle, or go somewhere to the left or to the right, just to give a little bit more of a creative freedom. Look at how the creative shooter is positioning himself. So when the bride walks, the creative shooter can move left or right, whichever way he feels like he could move at all. Based on experience, sometimes churches in the Philippines could be very strict. For instance, they don't allow you to follow the bride from the back while she starts walking. Or sometimes no one is allowed to be in the aisle. Now, that's the strictest as it can get. The next big part is the kiss, of course. You need to make sure that there is someone in the middle who can get that stable shot for the couple. Okay. So what usually happens is that for the creative shooter, he could switch positions with a traditional shooter so that he could get reactions from the other side of the aisle. Remember, this is the center, this is the aisle, right? And just imagine there are people on the left and right side. And so you need to get reactions from both sides. And for us, what usually happens is that these guys, they switch, okay? So that you have a tripod in the center to get a stable shot of the kiss, and then this guy can have a moving shot of the people clapping. This guy, the RS, could have shots of the people, tight shots of the people clapping, having that, smiling faces. And so if you try to connect all of them in edit, you have a stable shot of the kiss, you have a tight shot of people clapping, people smiling, and you have a wide shot of everyone else. And so it's effective. It all happens at the same time, and you get all of the angles at the same time. When the ceremony finishes, everyone starts to do the exit. Everyone is waiting at the end of the aisle, and also the traditional shooter, the TS, is also there to get the shot of the couple going towards them. Reaction shooter could be on the other side just before the start of the aisle or after the start of the aisle to get reactions of people looking at the couple. If the reaction shooter was going to be a little beside the traditional shooter, both of them will have the same direction in which it's not effective. It's not like they're looking at each other. The reaction shooter should be on the other side to get that looking at each other feel. If the creative shooter wishes to follow from the back, it's fine. Follow from the right side, it's fine. Left side, it's fine. He can be as creative as he can be. When the bride and the groom walks, creative shooter follows. Reaction shooter gets the reaction of people looking at the couple. Traditional shooter gets the shot of the couple stopping in front. If they want to kiss, they could kiss. The traditional shooter could shoot mid-shot or wide shot if he wants to. Watch out for poppers. You can use your slow-mo if you want. And I think that's mostly what's happening for the exit. This next stage is one of the most important part of the wedding day. This is the chance where you could have your couple do their shots for the first time together. Usually they don't see each other before the ceremony. Now is your chance as a cinematographer to shoot them together or with their entourage. Okay? And so, for us here at Mayad, we just need 2 people to shoot them. So it's a 2-camera setup. You have shots with the entourage, and you have shots with the couple. Now, the things that you need to consider when shooting the couple are the following. The time. For you to have a better understanding of how long you could be able to shoot them. Is it 15 minutes before the sun sets? Do you have 2 hours before the sunset? If you know that you only have 5 minutes before the sun sets, then you need to make sure that you have shots of the couple. But if you know that you have a lot of time with you, then you could do as freely as you could get. Now, what other things could make your post-ceremony more effective, it's by getting the chemistry of the couple. During meetings, you would have an idea how they are together. You would have an idea if they are sweet. Do they show their affection is in public? Are they shy towards one another? Are they shy in front of the camera? And you would get the feel on the things that they could do. The feel of your SDE. Sometimes, when you're just shooting blindly, not knowing how your video is going to look like, it really affects the success of your video. Like if you know that your song is fast and you get something that's very subtle, it doesn't match and it's not that usable. But if you have something that's very romantic, but you shoot something with high fashion, it still doesn't match. So what needs to happen is get that anchor from the song of your SDE, and then you get the feel of the actions that you're going to do for the post-nup or the post-ceremony. If your location for your post-ceremony is really good, then consider that you could do wide shots. But if it's something that's a little hard to do wide shots, then of course, make use of those 50 mm's, make use of those prime lens that could make unwanted backgrounds go away. Also look at the lights. If there are plenty of lights, artificial lights that surround you like you're in the city, you could actually make use of that and use them as a bokeh for your background. Now for the tips, when you're shooting in ceremony, always consider your fellow photographer. It is always good to not block their way when they're shooting so that you get your respect. You gain the respect of others. If you're trying to catch some reaction, it's really good to not get the attention of people because the reaction is going to be gone. And so, if you're going to be running around, that's going to be something that would be really distracting for everyone. If you also wanted to get the reaction of someone crying or someone laughing, it's really helpful to be not too near to them because they're gonna see you, and that's gonna be something that's gonna hinder them from the drama. So if you're shooting a post-ceremony, what kind of things could you shoot? Maybe you could have them do the basic things first. Have them walk, have them hold each other's hands, have them feel the love. And so from there you would see how good they are when they do things. And it unlocks a lot of potential in the other things that you need them to do. Like, for example, getting a little bit more romantic, putting them under the veil, getting to hug one another while there's wind effect for the veil. If the light is too dark, like if it's past sunset, what else could you do? Maybe you could put out the LED lights, put from one side and another side, get a little bit of backlight, use the veil as the foreground, have them laugh at one another. All of these things are happening at the same time that it makes it look very, very elegant. And so that's everything that you need to know in terms of the ceremony, from positioning to movement to the angles, the do's and don'ts, what you're going to do in the post-ceremony, what are the things that you need to avoid, and I hope you could be able to apply them to your next shoot. So we're at the ceremony, and this is the aisle. And I'm going to get a shot of Sarah, our bride, walking down the stairs. And eventually we'll show you how different positions from different shooters, angles, are going to be. Like, I'll be showing you from the creative shot, following, going to how the TS looks like, and how reactions should be like, right? And let's do this. So we're at the staircase, and I'm going to shoot the bride walking from over there, going down this area, okay? And then that's going to be from the creative shot, because the TS and the RS is going to be waiting inside. All right? Let's do this. So I'm going to follow her walking down the aisle and go. She's walking. Walking down. Okay, stop. And then, if I have the chance, I need to make her stop so that I could get another shot from a different angle. I think this is a really good shot. Just avoid the light to hit her so that it's not biased. Okay? So I will be shooting her, going down, following her. Right? Ready? And she's going, wait, and going down, go. Yes. Okay, good. And now, so the doors are closed and she's about to be revealed, right? How does it feel like being a creative shooter to shoot her from the back? And sometimes, if there is still time left before the door is open, I could somehow get a shot of her, like it's like a solo shot that shows the gown, a little bit of the gown and her, and then the door, so that it's a little bit climactic. Okay, so I have a little bit of light. Yeah, that's good. And then when I say go, Sarah, can I have you look at me on the other side? Okay, ready? 1, 2, and look, Sarah. Make it more subtle. Okay, not too fast. Okay, ready? And 1, 2, go, Sarah. Yes, look down. Look at me. Wow. Happiness. Really good. Now, if I still have the chance, I'll get a tighter shot. Can you look at me first, Sarah? Yeah. Okay, let's see. This is really nice. Wow, this is really nice. Okay. Have your chin closer to your left, yes, left shoulder. That's really good. Okay? Now I'll have you look at me a little bit more, okay? So hide a little bit first. Okay, good. Wow. Okay, ready? And look at me a little bit more. Go. Happiness. Really good. You can see that I'm smiling if I like the shot. Now she's ready to walk, and how do I do it? Do I stay at the back? Do I go to the left or to the right? Usually the best option is you hide from the back. You know, since you're the gimbal user, you can get shots from here. So you drop, it makes the person look big, strong, and elegant at the same time. If she has a big veil and the wind is blowing, that's also great. But this time, I will need the doors to be opened. When the door opens, you walk immediately, okay? So get a little bit closer to the door. Okay, good, stop. Now, this is how it usually is done. You need to hide yourself from the camera in front so that it doesn't see you when the door opens. And so this is what happens, okay? Ready? Yes. And don't walk yet when the door opens, okay? I'll tell you to walk. And ready? And open door. And open and go walk. And cut. Good. So our bride is here. She's just a few steps away from his groom. And so what happens is, from the creative side, you tend to follow from the back while she's walking. You know, you need to consider how many people are there. Is it going to be a big crowd, or is it going to be like just the usual small ones? So if it's going to be a big crowd, are you going to be caught in the middle, or is it more worth it when you're having the shot on the left or on the right, where you could have more angles eventually? But if not, then you could just make it more elegant by sticking from the back and then just moving forward as the bride keeps on walking. So we'll try that one, okay? And she keeps on walking, go. And cut. And now, what's happening is we are able to get the perspective of a creative shooter from the back, following the bride. And so what happens with the other people, with the other shooters, what happens if you're a TS and you're an RS. So let's try to have the shot of the TS first. Okay. You're the traditional shooter. You're the main cam. Of course, you'd be expecting a receiver over here, which directly connects to your camera for the line in. And so just imagine it's there, okay? And what you are doing is that when the door opens, how would you frame it? How would you make it work? So let's say your only focus is to get the right shot when the door opens. It should not be blurred. It should be focused. The exposure should be right. The good thing with our situation right now is that since it's indoor, it's more controllable. But if it's outdoor, sometimes the door already closes. You don't see what's happening outside. You don't know what's the exposure outside. And then the moment the door opens, everything is washed out. So what you need to do is find that part where you could see the outdoor. And then find the exposure so that when the door opens, you'd get a bit of a feeling of what is right instead of just guessing. All right. So we're going to see the bride going inside again. In 3, 2, 1, the door is opening. Wow. Then you try to follow her and make sure that it's not blurred. Make sure you're focusing on the face. Then you can zoom out and also focus. Again, remember, the lighting can sometimes be very tricky, but once you get it done, it's okay, it's fast, okay? So that's the shot from the TS. Now comes the reaction. What if you're the reaction? So reaction shooters are usually on the side of the aisle or after the aisle, like, you know, after the guests. So just imagine I am here and I am getting reactions of people with my right or a little bit of my left, but I need to make sure that I also have that shot, that angle looking at the groom. If I needed more room for shooting him, I need to maximize the Sony feature of doubling your lens value. So our groom is waiting. And of course, the moment she walks down the aisle, that's where all of the emotions come in. So if I'm here, then the groom is over there. And then of course, you're going to get some, you're going to maximize the 200. It depends on how far you are from the groom. But if you need more space, or I mean like if you need more focus and telephoto value, you just double your value using the Sony feature. Okay? And let's imagine. So I'm going to have her actually walking and looking at the groom, and I'm going to see her moving past me. Okay? And she's walking. That's usually the moment where he feels, yes. And then you can zoom out a little bit so that you can see both of them. You can switch focus. And then you could focus for both of them. And that's good. And so you get that angle from the creative, and then to the traditional shot or the main cam, to the reaction. This guy usually moves around. He could use a monopod and just be here or somewhere where he feels that there is more emotions, and that's great. Okay? Can I have you over here? Just somewhere in the middle, somewhere here. Okay. Now, going back to the TS, if you are the traditional shooter or the main cam, and you know that when shooting the bride, you're here just a few steps before the groom, and then you see her closing at you, usually the walk is not too fast, okay? They go with, you know, they go with time. They have that rhythm that's very slow. And so I'll be recording the whole time. Try to get that good framing, okay? So I'm using a 200 mm and or a little bit of a wider shot, and then she walks slowly, right? And then if you feel that she's almost near you, you move back. Move really back so that you can see the both of them. And then focus on the giving and the getting closer with the family and friends. And that's it. That's good. She was able to walk. You were able to get the open door. At the same time, when she's a little bit near you, you move back. Let the reaction shooter get his angle while, just imagine in the video, while we are showing his reactions, we are going to get another reaction from you facing the both of them. Okay? So that's how it is in terms of workflow for the wedding ceremony, for the bridal walk.